Hello, everybody. All right. So what we're gonna do, of course, we're gonna give people a chance to get in here before we get started. So I'm gonna go off camera here for a moment while we're waiting for more people to show up. Um, put some music on while I take care of a couple of things, and then when I come back, go over what's on tap for today. So I'll be right back. All right. So, anyways, we're up to the 3 minute mark now. So here's what's on tap for tonight, of course. Um, First off, let me just do your quick, then we will go over to. All right. So first off, if you can like and share the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people on here. That'd be appreciated. Also, anything we talk about tonight grabbed your attention, feel free to comment and/or ask questions, and we will try to answer. And I'll try to answer the best of my ability. Now, so basically, what we have on tap for tonight, of course, we're just going over one article. Bleeding Full, going to go over the Indie Comics Showcase. Also, we do have, of course, a wrestling wrap up as got WWE news, AEW news, including talking about what happened on last night's Dynamite, and some Impact news. As of course, tonight's Impact will be the last Impact before um, this Sunday's Multiverse United, for whom the bell tolls, their co promotion of with New Japan. We'll go over that as well. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Get right into um, material here. Now or never, just hold it out. Yeah, I've been watching Rising as Shield here as part of my um, Adult Swim block. So basically, I got the theme song in my head. quite a bit. So, anyways, Indie Comic Showcase number 235 and Black Phantom, Vigilantes, Creed, and Mittens. Article by Chris Braley, published yesterday. All right, so let's get into this then. I said if anything grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask any questions. I'll try to answer the question best of my ability. So with that being said, welcome back to another installment of Indie Comic Showcase, the weekly blog where we signal boost a few truly independent comics that are currently crowdfunding their projects, crowdsourcing their funding in some way, or just completely self-publishing on their own. Every little bit of support for the creators matters, from a single dollar pledge to the $25 bundle. And of course, the higher tiers are usually fun too. Even if you can't back a campaign or buy a book, you can share or tweet about these projects to your friends and followers. On Indie Comic Showcase, we interview the creators, show off some art, and tell you about how you can check out the product for yourself. Below, we have some outstanding crowdfunding campaigns this week for you to learn about, enjoy, and hopefully support by backing one or more of them. Thanks for checking these out and for being the best part of Indie Comic Showcase. Let's jump in. The Black Phantom by Chad Townsend. Yeah, there have been a few characters like this over the years, right? Not the first time we've seen somebody use the Black Phantom as a character. So, all right. Anyways, move. Chris Braley, welcome to Indie Comic Showcase, Chad. Give me your elevator pitch for the Black Phantom. Chad Townsend, it's World War II, and a walking dead man is on a mission to find the location of a hidden V2 rocket factory, steal a V2 transmitter, and light the location for Allied bombers. Along the way, he fights Nazi vampires and battles the lizard man Thorn Toad. Wow. Let's see. We have two Chris's here. Oh no, we have a Chris and a Chad. Okay. Chris, tell me how you came up with this project and what made you decide to self-publish it. Chad, I created the character when I was a teenager. Almost sold it to animation studios twice. I've been working in the animation video game industry since 1996 and now decided to semi-retire from it to pursue work on my own creations. So he was an animator and a video game guy, and I guess now he's deciding to try to get into the comic book realm on his own. Okay, that's interesting. Interesting path. What kind of comic readers is this suited for, and who is it aimed at? Chad, it's suited for all fans of Indiana Jones, G.I. Joe, monsters, and gore. Chris, you're doing all the work yourself, so how far along is the book? Chad, yes, the books are finished and ready to print. Wow, that's some pretty short answers there. Short and to the point. Chris, what's been your biggest lesson you've learned from self-publishing and crowdfunding through this process? Chad, I'm learning that I have to promote every day. It can be tiring talking on streams, but without it, progress drops. Right, yeah. And I get that. I mean, as you guys know, I do this 6 nights a week. Sometimes it can get draining after a while. but you still push forward nonetheless. Excuse me. Chris, so tell me, what's next? Are there more stories to tell? Chad, yes, I have a dozen Black Phantom stories plotted, as well 10 pages of another comic finished. I plan on publishing a bunch of my characters. There may be an action figure in my future. So Townsend's totally going franchise here. We could very well see the Chad Townsend universe, the CTU, as it were, with Black Phantom, I guess, being Chad's Batman or Superman, I guess. Huh. Chris, the campaign is doing well. Are there any special features you want to mention? Chad, yes. I have Standee of the Black Phantom that will ship with 2 comics. Also have sketch perks for sketch cards and sketch cover variants. Chris, good deal, Chad. The book looks good, great. We're rooting for you. So that's a pretty interview right there. Answer wasn't really a lot of detail in those answers, but I guess there was. I guess for this one there wasn't really a need for details. He's pretty direct and to the point there. All right. So the next one is Mitten Space Pilot 2 by Greg Mokeen. Moquin. I don't know if it's Moquin or Mokeen. It depends on where he's from, right? Mitten Space Pilot 2 by Greg Moquin. See what this one is about. So, Chris, welcome to this week's ICS. Greg, introduce our readers to Mitten Space Pilot. Greg Moquin. Mittens has crash landed on an unfamiliar planet called Asos. He not only is looking to get his ship repaired, but is also on the run from Commissioner Quackers and his fleet. I guess Commissioner Quackers is really quack, right? Along the way, Mittens meets some unlikely allies who look to help him leave Essos so he can finish his mission for Oscar Potton. It's an all ages title. Yeah, with some of these names, it does almost sound like it's meant for kids, or all. Usually all ages implies kids can read it too. So, Chris, so what inspired this story and led to you self-publishing? Greg, well, the series idea came from me hearing my girlfriend talk about her childhood cat named Mittens. When he passed away years ago, a ton of cats showed up at her dad's house like a mafia funeral. Oh, okay. Yeah. Space Cat Adventure, Cat Mafioso. Yeah, that's an interesting connection there. So I took that and spun it into a sci-fi western with a little mafia influence. Quite a combination. Quite a creative combination right there. Chris, how have you developed this book? Greg, In issue 2, there are a few more characters than issue 1 because I wanted readers to get to know Mittens a bit first before introducing other characters. That makes some sense. In issue 2, don't like really don't really, deluge your readers with a whole bunch of characters to know. Just one or two characters at first is fine, especially when you're, creating a new universe. In issue 2, though, there is a character named Slugger who is based on the pug I had growing up. The other pug in the story is Peyton, or Lord Peyton Fay Teal. Peyton Fay Teal, okay. And he was the other pug I had as a kid. Um, there are a few animal characters I just made up with on the fly, and some are pets of mine or of someone I know. Wonder if he's doing a little anthropomorphism here. Is he, making these animal characters more human-like? I guess. Huh. It's an interesting design for a car. Chris, who's on your creative team, and how far along is the book? Greg, J.R. Harris is the artist and letterer for the series. I wrote and created the series, and the team of Lucky 33 Comics, which is Alex Silvery, Corey Riggs, and Mo Grant. Lucky 33 helped with the coloring, flatting, and color assistance in general. Katrina Roach and Jason Webb are the editors. The book is done, and even issue 3 is all written, so we are in pretty good shape. So it looks like I got some material to send out to people. Chris, can we expect future installments then? Greg, yes, there is going to be a whole Mittens verse. It's fun to see a lot of these independent comic creators coming out with their own comic universes. It's like whole new worlds to explore for the fans. If you're tired of all the agenda pushing and woke BS that corporate mainstream comics are trying to shove down everybody's throats, there are guys like these guys here, like RJ, like RJ Carter, like Doc Blaylock, like Rex Christian, like Shadowhawk, like Rick Piper, the Tmoloviches, um, Tim Olson, even Metal, who all, kind of throwing their hats in the ring here. While JR and I were talking after a live stream a few months ago, we talked about how to end issue 3, which will end the first plot arc. We then figured out a way to tell a few more stories, like a couple of one-shots, then next plot arc of Mittens, and so on. Chris, what have you learned about crowdfunding and self-publishing through this? Greg, even though I've done a couple of Kickstarters over now 6 years as a company, the last 2 campaigns I still forget some stuff to include, like the discount graphic from our printer. Let's see, Chris, anything else you would like to share with our readers before we sign off? Greg, if you like Garfield, Total Recall, and/or Flash Gordon, this book is for you. Kind of an interesting combination of characters and media references there. Sounds great. Good luck on the campaign and congrats on passing your goal. Uh, these articles are going pretty quickly here. Let's see, where are we at on time here? We're just past the 20-minute mark. So if I get through this pretty quickly, I might add an article from Bounding into Comics. Vigilante's Creed by Brent Turner. Chris, welcome to ICS, Brent. Tell me about your project Vigilante's Creed. Brent Turner. This project involves 2 urban fantasy sci-fi novels at around 250 pages each, and a 15-page colored supplemental mini-comic. It is about a gargoyle and his team of vigilantes fighting terror in Detroit. Terror headed by a man named Incubus, who has unearthed a Nazi-era mind control serum filled with biblical and supernatural lore. Vigilante's Creed provides a 90s style art and Lovecraftian storytelling many of us have been missing. I would be a little concerned here for Brent. I just hope that because the use of, now granted, anybody can use gargoyles in the story and stuff, but at least there are some plot points here that sound a little similar to the Gargoyles cartoon series of the 90s. I would be very careful about, because if this gets back to Greg Weisman and he doesn't care and he feels that it's too close a resemblance, Brent might be in a little bit of trouble here. I'm just saying, just not that I'm hoping for him to have trouble, mind you, but I think he might want to be a bit careful here. Chris, where did the idea for this comic come from and made you decide to self-publish it? The idea was inspired by a dream I had, as well as a mixture of writers and directors that I admire, such as Ayn Rand, Marv Wolfman, Christopher Nolan, and Zack Snyder. I decided to self-publish due to the current practices of mainstream publishing and the fact that I did not want my characters or stories to be chopped and warped for the sake of quote-unquote modernity others. Well, at least that part, good for him on that part, at least. What kind of readers is this suited for, and who is it aimed at? Let's see. Brad here, fans of Batman, Hellboy, and classic 90s vigilante superhero tales. And I wouldn't be surprised if the Gargoyles had some influence in that. Disney's Gargoyles had some influence in that as well. What can you tell me about your creative process? Brad, my creative process is a mixture of reimagining real-life events, creatures and characters of interest, and learning from those that inspire me. Chris, introduce me to your creative team that contributed to this project. Brad, Corey Barton handled the art for the novel covers, the main mini comic cover and comic interior pencils, inks, and colors. Skunk Artworks painted the mini comic wraparound variant. Joe Ball provided the black and white art book, cover art, and is also our sketch card artist. And Elliot Rodriguez is the Gargola print artist and interior artist. Okay. So what does your production workflow look like? Brent. Both novels are complete with proofs in hand. The mini comic and black and white art book will be completed before October 2023. Our plan is to ship out orders in October 2023. Let's see. What can you tell me? What can you tell me you've learned through this process, Brent? Finding reliable artists that value your ideas and will provide honest feedback is extremely important. Additionally, that you are your biggest advocate and marketing tool. You cannot rely on others to push your product. Lastly, detailed and unique cover art can go a long way and can become a natural marketing tool. Chris, any plans beyond this book? Are there more stories to tell? Brent, yes. I plan to write Vigilante's Creed Book 3 novel, as well as the first of 7 full-length comic book issues in the next 12 to 18 months. Chris, any special perks or tiers in the campaign you'd like to highlight here? Brent, there are several perks and add-ons, such as sketch cards, original art, custom puzzles, custom posters, signs, and custom retro lunchbox. He's going all in on the merchandising too. Albeit, do kids really utilize lunchboxes like that anymore? That's great. Any final words for our readers? Brent, folks should try to support indie creators if you want untethered creativity and original ideas, both of which you will receive with my story and its art. I couldn't agree more. Good luck on the campaign. That's it for this installment. If you're a creator ramping up your own campaign or have a comic available for purchase online and you want to be featured in our weekly column, click here. And follow Indie Comics Showcase on Twitter at Indie Comics and reach out to them for more eyes on your crowdfunding comic project. Until next time, support Indie Comics. Da 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 da. Whoopie whoopie woo hoo hoo. Alrighty then. Let's see, where are we at now? Let's see, 28 minutes. I do need to step away from the computer for a moment, so I'll be right back. I'll put some music on. Probably when I get back, I will probably see if we can look up at least a bonus story here or find a story from. Like that. All right, as I said before, if you haven't already, if you can like and share the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people in here, that'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions. I'll try to answer the question to the best of my ability. So with that, let's see, we got to that article just past the 30-minute mark. So I think I do have enough time to maybe go over one article from Bounding into Comics. To look at, I'll try to find one for you. Let me see. Just calling out. Just calling out. We just go to show you what happens when you take 2 days off to do a special project, and how far behind you can actually fall. So that was our last one, the Wonder Twins article. So let's see what else. And I guess I can. Then you guys can see what I'm doing here as I'm doing it. Okay, well, this one looks interesting in the comic book section here. Do this one real quick here.
Who knows?
All right, so let's see how we do with this one. Okay, so Godzilla joins forces with Kong to fight the Justice League in new series this October. Oh wow, Justice League versus Godzilla and King Kong. That's going to be a very interesting crossover. He has fought the Avengers and the Power Rangers, but Godzilla, the greatest of all Titans, still has one set of opponents left to crush, and possibly in the literal sense. They are the Justice League, and he will take them on in a crossover event, bringing together DC and Legendary Comics and more. Godzilla won't be entering into the battle alone. He will have help. Kong is joining him in the fight against the world's finest, dubbed Justice League vs. Godzilla vs. Kong. Announced by DC at San Diego Comic-Con, the 7-installment miniseries puts together an all-star team in its own right, headed by writer Brian Buccellato and artist Christian Duce and Luis Guerrero. Quote, there's nothing more fun and exciting than exploring those amazing what-if situations that come up when fandoms cross streams, unquote, said DC President and Chief Creative Officer Jim Lee in a press release via Yahoo News. Quote, it's a matchup of the world's greatest superheroes in the Justice League who take on not only the king of the monsters, Godzilla, but the mighty Kong himself. Now, this is going to be an interesting three-way battle royal, isn't it? Wonder if we'll also see Gorilla Grodd, Monsieur Mola, and Gorilla Boss in this too. Maybe Detective Chimp will drop in as well. And maybe Congo Gorilla. Solabar. Lee added, quote, it's a crossover, no-holds-barred battle, decades in the making, and no bona fide comic fan will want to miss it, unquote. Legendary's SVP publisher Robert Napton has said to share in this enthusiasm and predicted the joint title will go down in history with other well-received crossovers, including Superman versus the Amazing Spider-Man and Uncanny X-Men and the New Teen Titans. Napton has showed gratitude toward his partners at Legendary Entertainment and Toho International for their, in quotes here, passionate support of the project. It's exciting and will break barriers, both in entertainment and on the page. Starting like a typical day in Metropolis, the Justice League faces a Legion of Doom, but things take a turn when reality begins going into flux. The uncharted boundary between the DC Universe and the Monsterverse falls, triggering a battle for the ages. Titano, to match the scale of this war and monsters involved, Justice League vs. Godzilla vs. Kong will come with multiple variant collector covers by the team of Lee, Scott Williams, Rafael Albuquerque, Francesco Mattina, and the duo of Dan Mora and Alan Qua. Godzilla and Kong are each getting a roar sound effects, quote unquote, gatefold cover by Christian Deuce. Purchase or reserve your copy of these covers when the first issue of the Titanic series releases on October 17th, 2023. Anyways, tell us your excitement for the series in the comments on social media. Alrighty then, and we're now up to 39 minutes, so we got at least one additional article in there, so that's good. Anyways, as with all that now. Alright, so anyways. Alrighty then. So first off, so now we're gonna do the wrestling wrap up here pretty quickly here. So in WWE news, some injury updates. Sami Zayn has been, as many wrestlers do, has been working through with some injuries, most notably his elbow. I guess he has an issue with his elbow right now. Still trying to do what he can. with what he's had. Of course, tomorrow night, SmackDown. Also, now moving on to AEW. So as they continued the build for All In, a week from this Sunday, things, at least some cracks seem to be happening in the Better Than You Baby tag team of Adam Cole and MJF. But from last night's Dynamite, the following results happened. Orange Cassidy retained the international title over Wheeler Yuta. Darby Allin and Nick Wayne defeated the Gates of Agony in a tag team match. In the Texas Chainsaw Massacre Death Match. This was a match. The only reason they even have this name on is one of those gimmick promotional matches where, the company names like you've been seeing them in the WWE the last few months as well, like the Mountain Dew Lights Out match for one, and then that Battle Royal they just had at SummerSlam as well. Yeah, these very, it's like, the company pays money to get these notorieties. Now this particular match was used to promote the upcoming video game Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Okay, it was a match between Jeff Jarrett and Jeff Hardy in which Jeff Jarrett won. Again, though, now granted, I haven't watched any of these matches yet. I will, but from at least one I'm seeing here on Cage Match, there is a bit of a low scoring, which tells me that not a lot of people were too happy with it. And I don't know if that's the match itself was bad or if it was just a case of, people were just not thrilled at the idea of these corporate, of just corporations getting involved in professional wrestling. Dr. Britt Baker defeated the Bunny in a match in which the winner became the last participant announced for the 4-way AEW World Women's Title match at All In. And now, officially the 4 participants in that match include current AEW Women's Champion Hikaru Shida defending against the most recent former champion Toni Storm, Saraya, and former champion Dr. Britt Baker. And in the main event of the night, the Young Bucks defeated the Guns as they continue to build momentum for their matchup against FTR for the AEW World Tag Team titles, which is promising to be a pretty good match. Now on tonight's Impact. On tonight's this is the last Impact before this Sunday's Multiverse United. On tonight's match against Multiverse, and the last Impact before Multiverse of Honor or Multiverse United, for whom the bell tolls, the co-promotion of Impact and New Japan, coming to you from Philadelphia this Sunday. The matches tonight on Impact will be just in a 3-way match: Jessica versus Samantha Evans versus Killer Kelly. As of course, as I understand it, Killer Kelly and Savannah Evans are part of the knockouts. Well, no, that's actually coming up at the Emergence. Never mind. In a no disqualification match, Bully Ray takes on Black Taurus. In the finals of the number 1 contendership match for the Impact World Tag Team title, the winner of this match will go on to face Subculture at Emergence a week from this Sunday. Rich Swann and Sami Callihan take on the Rascals of Trey Miguel and Zachary Wentz. Deonna Purrazzo takes on Kylan King, looking for some revenge for King's attacks on her and Trinity last week. And then Eric Young takes on Cone of the Design. Now, this Sunday's multiverse. So the card for this Sunday's Multiverse United, For Whom the Bell Tolls. Let's see. First off, on the countdown show to that which will be airing on YouTube, Kenny King will be defending the digital media title of Yoshinobu Kanemaru, and in a six-man tag match, the tag team 6 of 9, which is Master Wato and Ryusuke Taguchi, teaming with Rocky Romero to take on Team Impact of Heath, Joe Hendry, and Yuya Uemura. That's on the countdown show. And then on the pay-per-view itself, again, the countdown and the pay-per-view itself are happening at the 2300 Arena in Philadelphia, PA. Main event sees Alex Shelley defend the Impact World title to Hiroshi Tanahashi. In a X Division tag team matchup, current X Division champion Leo Rush teams with Trey Miguel to take on former X Division champion Mike Bailey and Hiromu Takahashi. Sami Callihan takes on Doki in a match. In a tag team match pitting Impact versus New Japan, Eddie Edwards and Moose team up to take on two members of DMDK, of Shane Hayes and IWGP World Television Champion Zack Sabre Jr. In a 12-man tag match, the Bullet Club of Ace Austin, Alex Coughlin, Chris Bay, Clark Connors, David Finlay, and Kenta take on the Gorillas of Destiny, El Fantasma, Toma Tonga, and Tonga Loa, along with Josh Alexander, PCO, and the DKC. In a 7-way scramble match, you've got Chris Sabin versus Frankie Kazarian versus Bushi versus Rick Swan versus El Desperado versus Mal versus Kevin Knight. Then the opening match has a 4-way for the New Japan Pro Wrestling Strong Women's title. The current champion Julia takes on Deonna Purrazzo, Giselle Shaw, and Momo Kogo. So that's all that's happening in wrestling right now. And now, today being, and as always, of course, if anything grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions. I'll try to answer questions to the best of my ability here. As such, today is Thursday, August 17th, 2023. But let's take a look back at this day in Nietzsche history. History! All right, so anyways, first off, heading back 25 years ago today, on this date, 25 years ago today, WCW held its Monday Nitro event from the Hartford Civic Center in Hartford, Connecticut. Basically declaring war. That's pretty close to the WWE's home base. Coming about a week after the Road Wild pay-per-view, and a little over a week before, almost 2 weeks before, or well, maybe no, it's not that. Just a little under 2 weeks before SummerSlam here. The main event saw Goldberg defeat the Giant via DQ to retain the WCW World Heavyweight Championship. Bret Hart defeated Diamond Dallas Page via DQ to retain the WCW United States Championship. In a match for the WCW Television Championship, Chris Jericho defeated Chavo Guerrero Jr. and Stevie Ray in a 3-way match. Some other matches of note include Scott Norton defeating Scott Putski, Kurt Hennig defeating Dean Malenko, Let's see. The team that would eventually become known as Boogie Nights of Disco Inferno and Alex Wright, and, versus High Voltage of Kenny Chaos and Robbie Rage, ended in a no contest. And then to open up the night, Steve McMichael defeated Sick Boy of the Flock. So on this date, 25 years ago today, WCW held its Monday Nitro event at the Hartford Civic Center in Hartford, Connecticut. Now, moving on to the next piece of niche history here, which will go back 10 years ago today. On this date, 10 years ago today, back in 2013, Scaredy Squirrel, which was a Canadian animated television series based very loosely on Scaredy Squirrel book series by Natalie Watt, would air its final episode on YTV on this date back in 2013. So 10 years ago today, the final episode of Scaredy Squirrel aired its final episode on Canadian TV on YTV on this date back in 2013, 10 years ago today. Also, as we move on to the next piece of niche history here, moving ahead to 2018, which was just 5 years ago today. On this date, 5 years ago today, Studio Colorido's Penguin Highway, the anime film Penguin Highway from Studio Colorido, would premiere in Japanese theaters on this date 5 years ago today in 2018. Penguin Highway from Studio Colorido would premiere on this date in 2018. And finally, 1 year ago today, on this date in 2022, one year ago today, the first issue of 20th Century Men, which is still an ongoing series for Image Comics here. First issue of 20th Century Men from Image Comics went on sale on this date 1 year ago today. So I would imagine if it's a monthly title, that means that probably we'll have the 13th issue. They're 14. Well, all right. Actually, there's only now. Supposedly, according to this, it's currently still running, but apparently stopped back in February with 6 issues. So they're talking about the variant covers here. That's why there's 8. Yeah, that's why there's 4. But anyways, 1 year ago today, 20th Century Men premiered in the first issue of 20th Century Men from Image Comics went on sale on this date 1 year ago. It's supposedly still currently running, according at least to that data right there. So with that, I thank everybody for being here tonight. I hope everybody enjoyed the show. Now, don't forget, of course, tomorrow night, RJ Carter will be joining me as we'll be finishing up our coverage of November 1939, the historical comic retrospect. We'll be looking back at books that went on sale in November 1939 from Quality Comics, namely Smash Comics Volume 1, Number 6, and Feature Comics Volume 1, Number 28. Among the features we'll be looking at will, of course, include Espionage for Black X, Invisible Hood, The Clock, Dollman, and maybe, time permitting, Charlie Chan. So with that, I thank you guys for being here, and I hope to see everybody back here tomorrow. Bye.